Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Facebook Live. I'm Peter. We're going to be talking about cover letters today. So, if you're joining us live today, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Facebook Live. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock, and I'd like to welcome everybody to our live stream today. So, if you're joining us for the first time, today we're going to be talking about cover letters. I do apologize about the lighting today. We had some cloud coverage, we had some sun, so if I'm a little bit shady, it's not my attitude, it's just the lighting. So I do apologize. But having said that, today we're going to be talking all about cover letters. We've talked in the past about resumes. We've talked about mental health and job searching. So if you missed some of those videos, please check them out and don't forget to like and share those. But today is all about cover letters and how you can maximize your potential in getting a job using that cover letter as your first tool, okay? So really, again, today is going to be quick and simple. It's really about, giving you an idea on why cover letters are important. And then after you can understand why they're important, you can start to look at some general tips and some ideas on what you can do to improve your cover letter. And then finally, just as always, I'm going to give you a little bit of a heads up on how Meta can help you out with your cover letter. If you're like me, you struggle with cover letters. Next to interviewing, I think that's, for me, one of the most difficult things to do and to do well. So just before we get started, I have some fantastic news. We have a winner from last week's gift card giveaway. And so we do, I do have that name. Oh my gosh. And we're going to be connecting with that person. Devlin, I do believe that's the name that we're going to give away today. So again, if you do want to get into the contest for a giveaway to a gift card, don't forget to stay tuned till the end. We're going to give you an idea on how you can do that. But to celebrate, last week I have my Get Motivated thumbs up. So you get a thumbs up for contributing. And don't forget that we are live. So if you do have any questions, type in your questions because I can see it pop up and I will do my best to answer those questions, okay? So first on the agenda, why cover letters are important, okay? So before we even begin on why they're important, there's a couple things that you need to remember. If you've looked online, you've probably noted that there are a ton of different templates that are out there. There's so many different templates, and not just templates, but there's different styles that are out there. And if you've ever typed in, cover letter tips, you've probably been bombarded with so many different tips and so many different experts that give you their professional advice on what works best to get that job. Now, the thing that I like to tell people is that because there's so many different styles, there's so many different templates, remember that just like your resume, it's something that has to bring you confidence and it's your tool. So when you're looking out for different templates, bring something that speaks to you, bring something that brings you confidence. The thing to remember, just like resumes, is that if you're sending out cover letters and applications and you're not getting a response back, that can be an indication that you need to switch up your style. Okay, so just like your resume, it's a living document, which means it's never finished. You should never just try to get it out of the way and use it as a one catch-all kind of cover letter. Cover letters should be something that is unique. And so there's going to be things that are common. And those are the things that you want to make sure stay on your cover letter or within your cover letter building, no matter what kind of template you use, no matter what kind of style you're using, there's going to be some common things that make all cover letters great, easy to read. So that's right, as I said it, you should keep it short and sweet. You want to be able to get your point across to the employer quickly and effectively so that it excites them. If you've ever come across a movie that doesn't end and you're like, oh my gosh, I just want it to end, or a book that keeps on going, or a presentation that kind of lags on forever, you want to be able to maintain that excitement. And no matter how exciting a movie can be, or how exciting a book can be, or how exciting a cover letter can be, if it's not something that is finite, if it doesn't end, you're going to lose that momentum. You're going to lose that excitement. So keep it short and sweet. The other thing that people forget is that the cover letter isn't something that is just in a pocket by itself, right? It is usually connected with your resume, and then that resume is sent away. So the thing that people can forget is that they've got their resume already set up. It hasn't changed, but they're setting different cover letters. And they forget sometimes that those two things need to be together and they need to work in comparison. And what I mean by that is they need to look stylistically the same. So if you've done a resume a couple of months ago and then you logged on to a different computer, or maybe you came into Meta Services and you used one of our templates for our cover letter, you're going to notice that right off the bat, that noise was my kitty cat. He's helping me today. You're going to notice that those cover letters can, because they've got so many different styles, that they can easily kind of float away from the template or the style that your resume has. Now there's a problem for that. Even though you might come up with a dandy cover letter, maybe it's fantastic, the problem might be that just because it looks different, that's going to start raising questions about who wrote it. At the end of the day, if I looked at a cover letter and I saw one style and then I saw the resume and the headers didn't match up or the font was different, it's going to make me think as an employer, did this person write this cover letter? Did they get somebody else to write it? Did they bother to check that it doesn't match their resume? And at the end of the day, what you want, the questions that you want the employer to get from your resume and your cover letter are all good questions. You want them to get excited about it. You don't want to cast doubt. Because when you start casting doubt, that's when problems happen, okay? So making sure that your cover letter is short and sweet and making sure that it's clear and that it matches the same style as your resume, that's going to be common no matter what style or template cover letter that you choose, okay? So the thing that I like to make sure that people remember also is that resumes, they're kind of like they show where you've been, right? They've got all that information on all of your past experiences, all your past jobs, all that education. My cat's totally going to turn off my live event. All of those things are going to be static. They tell the employer where you've been. It doesn't change, right? And so the cover letter is really, it tells the employer how you're going to fulfill the job because you haven't done it yet. Even if you've been in the same industry, if you've come from a retail industry and you're going into a retail job, or if you're in a restaurant industry and you go into the restaurant job, you still haven't maybe had that exact job. And so even though your cover letter and your resume might be similar experiences, you want to make sure that you're highlighting how the cover or the answers on your cover letter, how that really showcases how you're going to fulfill the job. So the resume, again, shows where you've been. And so that's kind of like looking in the past. And the cover letter is kind of looking in the future because it tells the employer how that experience from the past is going to apply to the future, how it's going to benefit the company in this job. Okay? I got my notes here today too. Cover letters are your first impression, right? They're usually tied to the resume and sent off as a first impression. So really, and what I mean by a first impression is it's your first impression on not just the skills that you bring, but how you fit in, right? The tone of a cover letter. Has anybody ever read a text message where they're like, oh my, look at the tone on that one? Or an email where you can get a sense of how that person is feeling just from the word choices that they're using. This can be exactly the same effect on a cover letter. If you are speaking in a way that draws out excitement, that brings up, questions and enthusiasm, then that's going to bleed through right across the page, and when people are reading it to themselves, there's usually that audio that goes along with it as they read themselves. And so you want to make sure that when you're reading your cover letter, make sure that it sounds good, that it sounds as a good flow. It sounds kind of like a conversation, because that is going to build that confidence for the employer. That's going to let them know that you have the confidence that you're qualified for the job, and not just qualified, but that you're excited to be there, that you want to get that interview, that you want to fit in, okay? The resume really tells the employer things that, or my apologies, the cover letter tells things that the resume can't, right? And so, when I talk about the resume being in the past and the cover letter being in the future, what we're really doing is we're doing kind of like a little formula. We're saying, okay, how does my resume compare with the skills, right, on the posting? And how do I then use that to answer the cover letter questions, right? So what I mean by that is saying, okay, my resume has history of retail experience, and the cover or the posting is telling me basically that they've got to have strong customer service skills. They have to have strong time management. They have to have strong organizational skills. So you can use your resume, the information that was in the past, your experience, tied with what the posting is looking for, to answer the question on the cover letter. You know what? Based on the experience that my resume showcases, I am able to provide outstanding customer service through time management and organization. And that then tells the employer that, yeah, you know what? You came from a place that was retail, and even though it might have been similar or different or maybe completely different, it translates into something that's going to be useful today. Okay? So making sure that you're using that kind of formula. How do I combine my resume experience with what the posting is looking for to answer on the cover letter? Okay? Now, if you can use all that together, if you're using your job posting together with your cover letter, together with your resume, you're going to see that it's going to help you with the whole process. Now, if you're familiar with any sort of posting, you're going to note that they're kind of set up differently but the same, right? And I apologize for the lack of technical prowess here, but I took a posting here from Indeed.com. So you can see here that on Indeed.com, there's a little bit of information, and you probably can't read the information, but I've highlighted it. And what I did is I highlighted just key bits of information. And on most postings, you're going to have the same kind of setup. You're going to have a position summary. And the position summary gives you that basic idea on what it's all about, right? And so with your cover letter, if you have a good idea of what the position summary is about, that's your first indication, your opening sentence perhaps, or your opening paragraph that tells an employer that you know what it's all about. You know what the employer is asking about, right? There's other things that are going to be on a posting that you can use for terms on your cover letter. So for instance, this here is a posting for a package handler at UPS. Shout out to UPS. Woo! Anyways, it's a part-time position, and really what they want you to do is a package handler loads and unloads packages, okay? Some of the key accountabilities, they'll say something like that. They'll say key accountabilities, major responsibilities, main duties, primary responsibilities, something like that. Then you're going to be looking for the same wording that they've used in the posting. So for instance, they'll tell you executing UPS package handling methods, loading, unloading UPS packages into trailers. They'll even tell you certain key information like availability, when you have to be available, because sometimes that's really important to an employer. It's not so much can you do the job, but can you be available to do the job? And so if you are being able to highlight some of this information on the posting, you can use those same terms on your cover letter. Now, why is that important? The reason that's important is because you want it to be something that jumps out to the employer, right? You want to be able to say, quickly and effectively in a short and sweet cover letter that you're qualified, that you're worthy of an interview. When you use the same terms that the employer used to make the posting, it's going to jump out at him because it's going to be terms that they're familiar with. It's going to be key phrases that they are looking for anyway. And when you use the same terminology, you can really have your resume jump out above the rest. Okay? All right. So, again, your cover letter, I think that another thing that people forget is that the cover letter is something that is kind of like your first step, right? And if you're looking at the process, your cover letter's goal really is, it showcases how you're going to do the job, but you want it to get the employer to read your resume, right? First, from the cover letter to the resume, and then if your resume is fantastic and it starts connecting the dots, you're going to get to the interview. And so you have to start thinking, about that big picture, setting up that process, garnering excitement, right? And if you ever thought about a good movie on Netflix or a good play, they don't just start the movie by giving you all the information that you need. They tease and they kind of set you up and they bring you along. And so that's what we want to think about when we're writing our cover letter. It's the first hook. I want to get them in there and start leading them in, right? Pardon the fishing analogy, but it's very much true. So, the mistake that people make is by, divulging all of the information, all their best attributes, every absolute information that they could bring, they put it into that cover letter. And so there's nothing left for the employer to know. There's no new surprises. And so there's nothing then to draw the employer to continue that process, okay? And so when you're thinking about setting up that excitement, get them to, make you referrals to your resume, as my resume will show, but don't give them everything. Lead them away. And if you've got some really cool things that might not necessarily be, a prime duty or a prime accountability or a prime responsibility, but still would do, it's like your ace in your pocket. It would still make you look really good. Save that for an interview. You know what? Because those are the kind of things they're going to keep an employer going, oh, fantastic. Every time they, get into the process, the cover letter, oh, this is fantastic. And then they read the resume. Oh, there's something else. Very cool. And then they get to the interview. Oh my gosh, there's even more surprises. You are the right person for the job, right? So when you're doing your cover letter, when you're writing your cover letter, start thinking about the big picture. Start visualizing how this is all going to look, how your cover letter is going to lead the employer to the next steps, okay? All right. So we've talked a lot about the impressions. We've talked a lot about, expanding certain things, making sure that your cover letter is, format free or your formatting is consistent, that you're error free, that you've used the industry terms. If you're struggling with some of the industry terms, one of the things that you can go into is fantastic Google. You get in there and you type online and you just type in your profession, and behind that profession, type in essential skills, right? So for instance, you could put in cashier, essential skills. You could put in forklift driver, essential skills. You could put in doctor, essential skills. And what happens after that is the internet's going to pump out a bunch of pardon the language, but essential skills. So key characteristics, key skills that are really important to your job. And those are things that you can use as well to put onto your resume to make sure that it is standing out, that it grabs the attention of the employer, okay? All right, so you've got all that stuff together. You've got a really good indication of, the big picture. And when you have a good indication of the big picture and you can set that up, what you're doing is you're connecting the dots for the employer. Really easy, right? And that's really what the employer wants to do. They want to start connecting the dots. They want to make sure that the cover letter matches the resume, that matches the interview. And everything, if everything lines up and everything is great, that breeds confidence. Those are the things that they're looking to get. And so if you can make sure that you're setting up the employer to always want more, to always want to learn a little bit more, your cover letter has done a great job, okay? So it should get you the interview that you want to know. But, at the end of the day, there can be a big mistake between, writing a good cover letter and writing a cover letter that is almost too good, right? And what I mean by that is that a lot of folks try to make sure that they're putting their best foot forward. And that's common. I've done this 100 times. And what happens is if you put too much into the cover letter and it becomes too fancy, or if it becomes too technical, it becomes too much not like you. What happens is that even if it matches your resume and the formatting is great, it's got all those technical things, if it doesn't reflect who you are, if you aren't able to have the confidence with it, if you aren't able to talk about it confidently, then, it can come off as looking like somebody else. And that's exactly what you don't want. So at the end of the day, when somebody says, put in all the technical terms, make sure that you're using the right lingo, don't lose sight of who you are as a person. You know, you can tell when you read something, you know, to yourself, you read it over if it sounds like you, if it doesn't. And if it doesn't sound like you, then maybe, you know, maybe it's needs a little bit of revision to get it to sound like you. Because at the end of the day, you know what? It's not about being the ideal candidate for every job that you apply for, right? The goal of this whole process is to find a place that is a good fit for you, right? Something that is going to be a thriving environment for you. And so, you know, when you're putting into the cover letter and you're being you, you're showcasing you, you're giving yourself the advantage and the employer the advantage to find that answer, whether it's a great fit for you, right? And so, you know, no matter what expert advice that you've gotten from anybody, me, somebody else, whoever, right? At the end of the day, make sure that it breeds confidence for you. Make sure that it showcases you, because there are jobs out there for you. There are employers that are looking for you. And so the cover letter is your first way to make sure that you're getting that message across, okay? So that's pretty much what we got to cover for today. If you do have more questions about any of the stuff that we've talked about today, please, please, please make sure that you type in services in the comment section, and we will get back to you, and we will absolutely share some information. We can share resources. We've got all sorts of stuff at our disposal to help you out. Having said that, you know, Meta is fantastically ready to help you out with your cover letters. You know, we've got not just your cover letters, the whole process to make sure that you're seeing the big picture and to help you break it down so that your cover letter helps with your resume, helps with the interview. And so we've got online services that are available. We've got more live events that are coming up. We've got webinars. We've got resources that we can send you. We've got telephone support and online support. We've got employment programs that are ready to help you with all of your questions, with all of your challenges. So if you do have some more comments or questions about the services, type in services in the comments section. If not, then give us a call, okay? 613-966-9069 is our number. We will get back to you. And if you're interested in the gift card giveaway, type in Get Motivated into the comment section, and we will announce if there's a winner next week as well. So don't forget to tune in. We've got more live events that are coming up on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. And we're going to be submitting some more commercials, so stay tuned. Don't forget to like and share this video. Get it out there. Show it to your friends. Comment on it. Let me know what you think. If you've got questions about things that we haven't covered today that you really are interested about, let us know, because we are happy to help you guys out, okay? So that's all we got for today. In the meantime, make sure that you're staying happy and you're staying healthy, and take care, okay, everybody? Bye now.